Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for MATIC. Now, if you've been watching my previous video, you know that we pretty much nailed this C wave. We were looking for this to be a running flat, and we're looking for a C wave of equal length and time of this A wave to be considered a complete correction. A flat is where we make a higher B wave and we protect our A wave in the C wave. Takes a lot of people off guard. That's when you see other people call them fake breakouts. But if you are aware of them, you can spot them and not get trapped in them. So it looks like that's what we got, exactly what we were looking for as a potential. And as of right now, I do have some other options I just want to discuss before I get into this bullish scenario, which is that we are completing a wave 2, looking for our third up around the 1.618. If we actually hit the 1-to-1 extension of A equals C, that's where I pulled these targets of currently. But those will change based on where the actual pivot is. That's just using guidelines. Our third wave would be around $3. So pretty good move if we follow guidelines. Now I do have some alternatives that I'm considering, and or this is our 3-wave move as potentially a W wave. This could also be an X wave. This is just an alternative I just wanted to show you. If we have our W, X, and this can be counted as 3. This can also be counted as 3 and also a 1-2 with a running flat. That's the complication with this area. But one thing I am considering is off our X, we could actually get a triangle. And that would be our Y. W, X, Y. What's nice about that scenario is we would expect to hold as per guidelines around the 618, which is at 71.14, but obviously invalidation would be at this low at around 50 cents, right at that pivot. But that's what we would be expecting if we just keep drifting sideways. I only suggest that, so if we keep drifting sideways here in threes, you don't get overly confused. It would be something like this, down to the 618. And we would eventually launch out of our E wave. But as you can see in that scenario, we should protect this A wave no matter what. I have long-term holds on MATIC, so I'm not concerned about us going lower currently, except when we pass that 50 cents. But obviously would like to see the 618 hold at 71.14 of the entire move to the upside. So that would be my alternative if we don't start to launch after the C wave is complete. If we just keep drifting sideways, we would simply have a W, X, Y. That's what I would look for. I don't really see us making lower lows personally. Again, nothing says it can't happen, but I really don't see it personally. But we'll cross that bridge if we do get invalidated. As per right now, those are the two counts I think are the primaries. So there you have it. Either we start moving or we get a triangle sideways here as a WXY is my primaries. Okay, so we'll zoom into this area here. What we're looking for here is an ABC to the upside in this bullish sequence as a 5-wave move for a C wave where we get a 3, 3, 5. Basically a flat pattern here we're looking for targeting right now. Now this can also be counted as 5, but a very ugly 5. It looks more like a 3 to me. That's why I have this as an ABC, just looking for 5 to the upside to around between 244 and 450 right now. But that can change based on where these pivots end up being. I will track that as we go. But that's my target just as of now. Okay, so for the start of our 5-wave impulse, we have a diagonal to the upside. We had our ABC for our A wave. This is where we were looking for that quick drop between our B zone, 1.236 and 382 of this A wave. And looking for an equal leg in time and length. The 1-to-1 is at 81.59, but as you know, if you follow my videos, as soon as we hit that 618, it can be considered complete. Doesn't mean it's complete. It can be considered complete. Sometimes we get shy C waves if it's a very bullish market. So as of right now, where does that leave us now? I don't have any open trades on this other than just my long-term hold. I'm waiting for this one. One thing to realize, just to help you decide whether a bottom is in, this is what I tend to do, is just back test. Take a look if you see any pivots that look like that, right? When you look back, does a pivot look like that? No, that's just a reversal candle. Does it look like that? No, not really. Does it look like that? No, not really. Does it look like that to the downside? No. Does it look like that to the upside? Does it look like that to the downside? Not really, right? So just wanted to show you that. So I don't personally think a bottom is in yet on MATIC. It can be, but just showing you previous times pivots have shown seems unlikely, right? So until proven otherwise, I would consider that we need another move to the downside to around 81 cents. So as of right now, in this C wave or Y wave, you need either one more move to the downside to close to that 1-to-1 and get an actual reversal. Target for that, if this is a diagonal and we're just getting a extended out fourth wave, would be there at 85.56. That's the 1.618 extension of our wave 1 off wave 2. We hit the 1.236 for our third, so that's where I'd expect a potential pivot. If we actually do make another move to the upside, I'd pay attention to see if we are just making an ABC and then we get another three-wave move to the downside to our 1-to-1, because then I'd consider that most likely a Y wave. And then we just get a 3-3-3 pattern. That's the difference between an ABC and a WXY. A Y will have 3 waves in it, complex structures, or a C wave will just have 5. So we'll see if we go straight from here, we get another move up, and then we come down. So that's what I would look for if we don't come straight down to 85 cents from here. I'd look for a move up and then another 3-wave move down, hit the 1-to-1 at around 81.59 or 86 cents, somewhere in that zone. On linear, we haven't quite hit that yet. Linear is about 88 cents. But you can see we also come in and pivot off our down trend line, which I have since our high, which would be a great spot to retest before we make the move to the upside. And if we end up making that triangle, guidelines would have us coming to the 618, which is about 71 cents, but we should still protect that A wave. So going to be interesting on MATIC. The only way I would consider this complete. Again, we have hit the 618 extension, which is just the minimum requirement. It can reverse, even though I showed you those pivot points. A pivot doesn't really look like this. I would expect this to turn into some sort of diagonal to the upside. This would have to be some sort of truncation as well, most likely, and we'd start moving from here. But it does not look like a bottom to me. I'm either expecting this move to the downside or, like I mentioned, another move up between the 50 and the 618 and then pivot. So I would change my mind on this if we got like a nice clean 5-wave and started moving. If we pass the 618 and this wave 2 invalidation up around 118, I would consider the fact that we could have bottomed. But until we break those areas, expecting further downside personally. It could be quick too, could just be a quick reversal, but we'll have to wait and see. As per time guidelines, which you know I like to use, is we expect between the 618 and the 1-to-1 in time of this first wave 1 if labeled correctly, and that 1-to-1 is out on April 12th. So anywhere in this zone, the 618 and the 1-to-1, we're right there now, is fine as per guidelines. So we just want one more move down and then we go, or break those invalidation zones. All right, I wish I had a better setup for you guys from my viewpoint, but this is just a no trade zone for me. We either come up and grind up slowly as like a diagonal, in which case we're not really missing too much. We just wait for a wave 2 setup, or we come up here reverse. We're not really missing too much. So just going to wait on this one. All right, guys, that's it for MATIC. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.